present in superconductor 1, they will try to cross this thin insulating layer, or they will try to penetrate through the thin insulating layer, or they will try to tunnel through the thin insulating layer. Thereby, they will try to enter from superconductor 1 to superconductor 2 via the thin insulating layer. So these tunneling Cooper pairs from superconductor 1 to 2 through the thin insulating layer constitutes a few or a small supercurrent. So that effect is known as Josephson effect. So when two different superconductors are joined together with the help of a thin insulating layer, then due to the tunneling of the Cooper pairs from one superconductor into other superconductor through the thin insulating layer, a small supercurrent flows. So that effect is known as Josephson effect. If we consider the supercurrent that flows through the thin layer, if it is a direct current, that becomes a DC Josephson effect. If it is an alternating current, then it becomes a AC Josephson effect. So depending upon the current that flows through the thin insulating layer, if it is a direct current, then it becomes a DC Josephson effect. If it is an alternating current, then it becomes a AC Josephson effect. And this thin insulating layer, which will be acting as a junction or boundary between superconductor 1 and superconductor 2, is known as a Josephson junction. So depending upon the supercurrent that flows through the insulating layer or through the junction, so we may have a DC Josephson effect, we may have a AC Josephson effect. Let us consider a DC Josephson effect. Now, as early where we studied about the Josephson effect, so similarly here also we have a superconductor 1 and superconductor 2, so which are joined together with the help of a thin insulating layer. So this is a thin insulating layer between the two superconductors, which will be acting as a junction. And we have Cooper pairs on one side, that is on superconductor 1, inside superconductor 1, and we have again a Cooper pairs inside superconductor 2. So these superconductors will start moving from 1 to 2 through the insulating layer. So if you assume that the propagation of this superconductor will be in the form of a wave, so each and every Cooper pair in superconductor 1 will be moving in the form of a wave. So we assume that they behave as a wave. Now these Cooper pairs, while moving from superconductor 1 to 2, will be similar as the corresponding waves. The Cooper pair waves will be moving from superconductor 1 to superconductor 2, penetrating through the thin insulating layer. So in this case, if we assume that pi 1 is the phase of the Cooper pair waves in superconductor 1, pi 2 is the corresponding phase of the Cooper pairs which are present, the Cooper pair waves which are present in superconductor 2, then if we consider the phase difference between these two, that is given by pi naught is equal to pi 2 minus pi 1. So if we consider the phase difference between these two, that is pi 2 minus pi 1, the phase difference between the Cooper pair waves between superconductor 1 and 2 is given by pi naught is equal to pi 2 minus pi 1. So in that case, the tunneling current, that is the small supercurrent that flows through the thin insulating layer, is given by I is equal to I naught sin pi naught, where pi naught is the phase difference between pi 1 and pi 2. That is the phase difference between the corresponding Cooper pair waves between superconductor 1 and 2, and I naught is maximum current, supercurrent that flows through the junction. So here we are not applying any voltage across the junction. So simply we consider two different superconductors, they are joined together with the help of a thin insulating layer. So in that case, a small current flows through the junction. So that current is given by I is equal to I naught sin pi naught. So this expression represents a direct current, a direct small current that flows through the junction. Therefore, this effect is known as a DC Josephson So in the case of a DC Johnson effect, without application of any voltage across the junction or across the insulating layer, so these Cooper pairs will start tunneling from one superconductor into another superconductor through the insulating layer. So they constitute a small supercurrent, a direct supercurrent, which is given by I is equal to I naught sine phi naught, where phi naught is the phase difference between the Cooper pair waves of superconductor 1 and 2. I naught is the maximum current that can flow through the junction without any voltage across the junction. So this expression represents direct current that flows through the insulating layer. Therefore, this corresponds to DC Johnson effect. Now, let us see what is the AC Johnson effect. So in a simple sense, we can say that in the previous case, through the insulating layer, we have a direct current flow. A direct supercurrent will start flowing through the insulating layer, so it becomes a DC. Now coming to AC, in this case, we can say that, so there will be an alternating supercurrent that flows through the insulating layer. Then it becomes a AC Johnson effect. So why we get a alternating current in this case? Now in this case, we applied a voltage V0 across the junction. That means the one phase of superconductor 1 is connected to a positive terminal of a voltage source, and the other side of the other end of superconductor 2 is connected to the next terminal of a voltage source. So in that case, which means that across the insulator, so we applied a voltage V0. Now previously, if we consider the previous case, so where there is a phase difference of I naught, already a phase difference of I naught is existing between the Cooper pair waves between superconductor 1 and 2. In addition to that, due to application of this additional voltage V0, so this V0 is going to introduce an additional phase difference between the waves corresponding to the Cooper pairs between 1 and 2 of a superconductor, or between superconductor 1 and 2. So already they have a phase difference of I naught. In addition to that, this applied voltage is going to introduce an additional phase difference. So V0 is the voltage applied across the junction, and an alternating current flows through the junction. So why we are getting alternating current? So for that we are explaining that. So due to the application of V0, an additional phase difference of delta phi is going to introduce between the Cooper pair waves of superconductor 1 and 2. Now that additional phase difference is given by delta phi is equal to Et by h cut, where E is the total energy of the Cooper pair and T is the time at which we have applied the voltage of V0. H cut is a constant which is given by h by 2 pi, where h is a Planck's constant. So if you take h by 2 pi, that is given by another constant h cut. So in total we can say that the additional phase difference introduced by the voltage V0, which is applied across the junction or across the insulating layer, is given by delta phi is equal to Et by h cut, where E is the energy of the Cooper pair, T is the time at which we have applied the voltage V0, h cut is a constant. Now if we consider the energy of the Cooper pair E, it is given by energy is equal to the charge of the charge carrier and the voltage which is applied across the junction. So here in the case of Cooper pair, we know that we have two electrons which are paired up, therefore charge becomes 2E, and V0 is the applied voltage across the junction. So the corresponding expression for the energy of a Cooper pair is given by 2E into V0. Now substituting this value in the expression for delta phi, so we get delta phi is equal to, in the place of E, we substitute it as 2E V0 3 by h cut. Now the current that flows through the insulating layer or through the junction due to the introduction of delta pi additional phase difference due to application of the additional voltage V naught is given by I is equal to I naught sin pi naught plus delta pi. So previously if we get DC Josephson effect, in that case the current is given by I is equal to I naught sin pi naught only, because pi naught is the phase difference between the Cooper pair waves between superconductor 1 and 2. But in addition to that, due to application of the additional voltage V naught, so we are getting an additional phase difference of delta pi. So in this case, the total phase difference becomes pi naught plus delta pi. Therefore, the corresponding expression now is given by I is equal to I naught sin pi naught plus delta pi. Now substituting the expression for delta pi, so we get I is equal to I naught sin pi naught plus 2e v naught t by h ket. Now this 2e v naught h ket can be replaced by omega, which is given by angular frequency. So since this expression for the current that flows through the insulating layer is given by I is equal to I naught sin pi naught plus omega t, where omega is the angular frequency, so this omega term will represent the oscillating nature of the current that flows through the junction. That is nothing but alternating current. Therefore, the presence of this omega term in the expression for current itself is indicating that the current that flows through the insulating layer will be an alternating one. That means the passage of the Cooper pair will be such that, so we assume that there are more concentration of Cooper pairs in superconductor 1 when compared to superconductor 2. So these Cooper pair waves will try to penetrate from 1 to 2, or Cooper pairs will move from 1 to 2, so constituting a current. At the same time, since the concentration of Cooper pairs at superconductor 2 is going to be more, again these Cooper pairs will try to cross the insulating layer from superconductor 2 to superconductor 2. That means the mobility of the Cooper pairs will be from left to right, again from right to left. That means these Cooper pairs will be moving towards right. At the same time, they will be moving towards left also. Therefore, the Cooper pairs will start oscillating between 1 and 2. So these oscillations of Cooper pair between 1 and 2, or we can say the corresponding Cooper pair waves will also start oscillating through the insulating layer. So due to which we get a flow of alternating current start flowing through this insulating layer in the presence of the applied voltage V naught. Therefore, it becomes a AC Josephson effect. So in the case of AC Josephson effect, we are going to apply a voltage of V naught across the insulating layer, due to which it is going to introduce an additional phase difference of delta pi that is given by ET by H ket. So that additional phase difference is going to introduce an angular frequency. So it is going to turn up into an angular frequency for this corresponding expression for the supercurrent. Therefore, this angular frequency term will represent the oscillating nature of the Cooper pair between the superconductor 1 and 2. Therefore, we get an alternating current, and hence we are going to get the AC Josephson effect. So, if we compare DC and AC, in the case of a DC Josephson effect, there is no need of a voltage to be applied across the junction. So, without application of the voltage across the junction, so here we get a small supercurrent will start flow through the insulating layer. So that is the DC Josephson effect. But coming to AC Josephson effect, now we are going to apply a voltage across the junction of V naught. So in that case, we get oscillating tendency of the Cooper pairs between 1 and 2. Or oscillating tendency of the corresponding Cooper pair waves between 1 and 2 will come into existence, due to which an alternating current flows through the junction. So that becomes AC Josephson effect. If we consider the corresponding volt ampere characteristics or VI characteristics of a Josephson effect, That means we consider the variation of I with respect to V, variation of current through the Josephson junction with respect to the voltage. Now from this, if you see the observation of the volt ampere characteristics, now this shows the variation of the current. Now current will start at a value of IC and it remains constant up to the voltage between 0 to VC. So up to this range of voltage along the positive x-axis, so starting from 0, that's at the horizon, and along the positive x-axis up to VC, between this voltage range, we observe that a constant current flows through the junction, that is nothing but IC. So when V is equal to 0, so in that case, that is at the horizon, when V is equal to 0 means at the horizon, if we consider the corresponding current is given by IC, a constant current flows through the junction. So when there is no applied voltage, a constant current flows through the junction means this corresponds to DC Josephson effect. So this gives DC Josephson effect. Therefore, when V is equal to 0, from this volt ampere characteristics of a Josephson junction, so we observe that when V is equal to 0 at the horizon, still a steady current exists. That is nothing but IC. Still a steady current exists. That is nothing but IC. So this explains the DC Josephson effect. That means when V is equal to 0, it is exhibiting a DC Josephson effect with a constant current of IC. And from 0 to VC, a particular voltage, so it is exhibiting a constant steady current only, so it is exhibiting DC Josephson effect up to this value, that is VC. So once VC exceeds or the voltage exceeds VC, in that case what happens is we are observing a linear variation of current with respect to I. So whenever voltage increases, corresponding current